Hello everybody, EJ here. So I'm just gonna share this across to my other pages before we get started. So what we're gonna be talking about tonight is basically how to heal the wounds if you have been cheated on, if you have been, particularly if obviously you've been lied to about it, and basically this really works if you've had any I'm gonna put this, okay, that's all right, turn that off. If you have basically had any sort of pain or hurt in love, which most of us have, this is for you. So I'm just going to share this across to my other pages so that everyone can check it out. Give me hello if you're out there. Let's see what we've got here. So I am doing this. Let me see. I am doing this instead of watching Neighbours, which, if you know me, you know that's one of my favorite shows. So this is a big deal. Luckily, they have on. I can watch it online after, but I'm not really that addicted to Neighbours, really. My friends might think otherwise, though. So I'm just going to share this in a group. I have a group actually called Heal Your Love Wounds. If you're not on it, please feel free to join Heal Your Love Wounds. I'll add you to it because this is actually a 21-day program, by the way. So everything that I'm talking about tonight is in the program, basically. And if you, I'll actually pop on the link as well. Let me pop it on the link on the live stream so you guys have it here. There we go. Yeah, okay, so I'll just pop that up there and then you can go check it out. And I'm also turning into a book. So it's going to be, I don't know the title yet, but it's going to be a lot more details in the book around this program, around, it's going to be easier for you to follow rather than the program. But both, if you can't wait that long, because I don't know when it's going to be ready yet, then please feel free to jump in the group and the program and really start, you can start using these practices. So everything that I'm sharing, pretty much everything I want to share with you tonight is in that free program with the link that's there. So, because I really think this is important work. If you've started, some of you have already done the program, you know my story and you know what I've been through and the experiences that I've had, and where I am now is a much different place. And I just really don't want other people to have to go through the same things over and over and keep experiencing things and wondering why does this keep happening to them like I was. So what the reason that has sparked me to do this live stream, and if you're there, please say hello, because I would love to hear from you and see who's there. And feel free to ask questions as well. Feel free to jump on and ask me anything that you may be going through or that you've experienced. I would really love to hear from you about that. I just have to share across one more page. And yeah, so I've got a few different groups. I've also got a women's group, which is amazing, which is all about living a soulful, sexual and shameless life. Which I'm just going to share this across now, which is Soulful Sexual Woman. So basically I do like love coaching, but I also do sexual healing and tantra. So that's the kind of two things that I work with at the moment. There we go. And I'm also doing a 5-day sexual healing challenge as well, but that's going to be in that group. So what I want to share, okay, so what has sparked me to do this is because I had to see clients the other day on the weekend, and it was a couple that booked me to do a tantra session. And basically one of the reasons why they booked me to do that is because he'd had been struggling with erectile dysfunction and he wanted some help with that. And so yeah, basically a lot of those sexual issues are mainly to do with emotional stuff. Hi Emily, thank you for the love. Yeah, feel free to do love hearts and things like that. That'd be great. I would love it. So yeah, basically the couple had booked me to help them with these problems and create more connection in their relationship. So the reason that they had found, how they had found me, is that my ex-partner had actually seen them before doing a tantra session. And so he'd spoken really highly of me to them at the time. So when I went into the session with them, and I can't obviously go into too much detail because it's just confidentiality, but I can tell you little bits and pieces, sort of my part in it, and obviously without using names or anything. So I always make sure that I honour the clients as well, and what they're okay with and not okay with, and that kind of thing. So I'll say as much as I can so you get the gist of it. But anyway, I asked the couple, I said, okay, well, as I do, what is the intention behind this session? What would you like to get out of it? And also, what experience had you had before, so I can gather an idea of where you're at, what level you're at. And they explained to me that the last time they had my ex-partner come and do a session, which was a tantric massage for the female of the couple. And I was like, okay, how was that? How did that go? What did you experience? And they said, oh, they did the tantric massage, and this is the husband was talking, and then he had sex with my wife. And I was like, oh, right. I was not really saying it like that. I was like, okay. And inside, I'm like going, what the fuck? Like, because this was not an agreement we had in our relationship. Wow, it was really, it was basically, he was very much, when we started to get together, he was like, cheating's a deal breaker, I'm big on honesty, and I'm all about loyalty, and I've always been cheated on, and, victim, he's very much in this victim mentality of this, and he even had some erectile dysfunction issues. He said he couldn't really be with anyone else but his partner because he had issues around that, but he also did because I'm a sexual healer, I helped him with that, right? So it was like, oh gosh, it was quite funny. But anyway, I can only laugh about it now. So yeah, so basically what happened, I found, obviously I was starting to feel a little bit triggered in my body when they were telling me this. And it's not exactly how you want to find out that your ex-partner basically cheated on you, right? And so I'm having to do this session, which is a 4-hour session. By the way, usually in a tantric massage session, it's not a sex session unless that's something that you've agreed. It depends on the practitioner. It depends on what services they provide, all that kind of stuff. So that's not something that he was providing. But obviously, that's why the couple had booked it, because that's the service that they wanted. And the funny thing is, if he had told that, I wasn't triggered because he cheated. I was triggered because he lied about it. I was like, dude, I was a swinger for 5 years. I am a pretty open person, especially, working in the field of love and sex. And it's just like, well, if you want to go and have sex with someone else, just talk to me about it. We can, I'm pretty open-minded, so we can have that conversation. And I even talked to him about that. I said, are you wanting to provide that for your clients? Are you wanting to provide a tantric sex service? Because we can discuss that. And he's like, no, I can't do that. I'm just can't bring myself to do it. So he's really adamant that he would never do anything like that. But at the same time, he would start accusing me of doing the same thing. He was like always worried that I was going to run off with the client. He was always accusing me of doing things, and going into my Facebook and my emails and my client messages and all this kind of stuff, like really suspect, and then accusing me of things. And I'm just like, oh my God. And then to the point that he'd get abusive, to the point that he would create things in his mind where I had done things that I hadn't actually done, and then he would become actually, mentally, emotionally, physically abusive around it. So this is why I was talking to this couple, and I was starting to get a bit triggered in my body, which still meant there was some energy on it, because I've already done massive amounts of healing around that relationship. So what happened is that in that moment I knew I was triggered, and I took a couple of breaths. So whenever you're feeling a little bit triggered and you know in your body, because I was feeling my temperature rising, my stomach was starting to feel funny, and I just took some breaths, because when you're triggered, you're in your reptilian brain, which is just the back here, which is built for survival. And when you start breathing, you're sort of going, okay, no, I'm still here, I'm still alive, I'm still breathing, it's all good, and you know, part of my head sort of started to go to, well, how many other women has he been with? Like, how many other clients has he had sex with? Like, what about this woman and that woman and all this? And so I started to go into story, but I knew I was in story, so I just kept coming back to my breath so I could be present for this couple. And I just kept asking them questions about what they wanted out of the session. And then I went to the bathroom, and when I was in the bathroom, okay, this is a really great practice. If you're feeling triggered, take some breaths, and I could feel the emotions coming up. And what I did is I put my hand over my mouth, and I pulled my fist up, and I just screamed. And I just shook my hand, and I jumped up and down because I was just pumping out those emotions, that anger that I was feeling in that moment, because I was thinking, you motherfucking liar, right? I'm just like, how fucking dare you accuse me of cheating and lying and all this stuff when you were the one doing it? And you know, this is actually pretty common, because a lot of people that are paranoid about being cheated on or accuse you of things that you're actually not doing, or very suspicious, is because they are doing it themselves and they're just not willing to own it. So you'll tend to hear that a lot, that a lot of people that may be in that energy of accusation are either they're doing it already, or they're about to do it, and they're putting you on the back foot, and they're, you know, basically taking your power away, because I felt like I was consistently having to defend myself for things I wasn't even doing, and then finding things like him going through my emails and all this kind of stuff, and then it was pretty crazy, right? And then, so obviously, like, the thing is, I never ever thought that he'd cheated on me, ever, like, because he consistently thought he was just so freaking loyal, right? So I hadn't done any healing around that specifically, because I didn't think it ever happened. So when I found that out, I was like, oh yeah, it's time for some healing. It's time to get, you know, it's really time to start looking at that and the energy of cheating and being lied to. And I'd done a lot of stuff around being lied to, because I've been cheated on before, and I've also done the cheating before a long time ago. So and cheating comes in lots of different forms, so I knew there was stuff there that I had to clear. So yeah, so basically I came back out to the session, and then I started talking to the couple again, and they said that the reason they had got my ex to come and see them is because she had already seen someone and had sex with them but didn't tell her husband. So basically, which was directly connected to his sexual issues. So when anyone has erectile dysfunction, it's connected to betrayal and abandonment. So really interesting, right? So, you know, obviously my ex had issues with that, so it was connected to that. But also, it was connected to the husband feeling like this fear that she was going to leave or betray him. So he was trying to also make it so that it would be right there in his face, that he could see her doing it, and make it easier for him, which I don't necessarily think is a good way to go about it, because you need to it was his way of kind of having some control and even a bit of manipulation to because he was very much in blame and anger. And I sort of it was really interesting that I was having to coach now. I was just ending up being a coaching session, basically. I had to coach them on how to try and get the trust back, and what happens when someone lies to you about being with someone else. So I had to go and coach them. So as I'm doing this, I'm basically having to coach myself, right? So I'm like having to coach him on how to deal with knowing that she's done that and lied to him about it, which is, and then also from her point of view as well. So I'm having to be like recognizing both parties' positions, which is exactly what I had to do for myself in regard to what I just found out. So it was amazing. It was like amazing to be like living my own healing whilst I was coaching them. It was so beautiful. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to kind of take you through what I had to do and what I did for myself. And I think, you know, the first thing we have to look at is when you get triggered, you've got two options. You know, you can go into, you know, you're going to feel a bit upset, a bit angry, a bit annoyed, and you can either choose to numb it or you can choose to heal it, right? if you go and numb it, and this might be going into fight or flight, so you might want to fight with the person. Like, man, I was thinking, man, I really want to text I don't have any contact with my ex anymore, but part of me wanted to like message him and go, I can't believe you cheated on me, and da 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 da, and all of that. Like, that was definitely sitting there for me. So that was, the fight. And then there was a part, that might have wanted to go into flight and not freaking, I'm not dealing with this shit, right? Like, I'm not dealing with this. I'm just going to go, maybe I'm going to go have a drink. I mean, I don't really drink, but very often. So it's like, I don't choose to numb anymore. I always choose to heal. So, but I can recognize that still that feeling of wanting to do that is still there, but I catch myself. So it's like you can go into flight or freeze. So basically, you might want to numb, basically. And when you numb, and when you choose not to deal with it and not to heal with it, you build it up. Excuse me. You build it up and you block it out. And this happens in a lot of relationships where couples actually have a fight, right? They both get triggered. They go into a massive fight. And then, they just they might go into flight. One of them might zone out. And then they come back together when they're a bit calmer, and then they don't talk about it. And they don't deal with it. And guess what? It builds up and it builds up. And so, I knew that I had a massive opportunity to heal the stuff around cheating. It had been triggered in me for a reason. And if you're triggered, it means there's something still there. So it's an opportunity for deep, deep healing. So if you're understanding and picking up what I'm saying, please comment below. I would love to hear anything that might be resonating for you or coming up for you. So the first thing is, you're going to recognize that there's some emotions there, and these need to be let out. These need to be expressed. These need to be released. So after I did this session with this couple, I got home, and I did my emotional release tools. So these are in the program. I put the link up there, and also be in the book. And basically, they're basically your expressing stuff that you didn't get to express as a child, and frustration and anger that you have bottled up for years, because we're very much conditioned to do that. So I'm jumping up and down, I'm screaming into a pillow, I'm punching a pillow, I'm saying like shit, like I just, this anger that was all this shit that I wanted to say to him, I was just getting it out, right? So that's the first thing. You want to really get clear on allowing yourself to feel those emotions. And so you're firstly also wanting to, there's a great practice that I learned with the Love Coach Academy, which is emotional triggers practice to get you out of that reptilian brain and into really getting connected to what your needs are. So you're identifying the story. So the first thing I did when I got home was I identified the story. And the story was, he cheated on me, he lied to me, I can't trust him, I can't trust men, all that kind of stuff, okay? So those stories are there. It's also recognizing that it is a story and we've made it real. Like, I was making that real, even though, yes, what actually happened was he went and slept with a woman and he got paid for it, right? So this was what had happened, okay? And my interpretation of that, the meaning I put on it was that that he cheated on me, he lied to me, okay? So I'd made it about myself, okay? Now, this is what I did with the couples, is I tried to identify, well, what was in his mind, like this is where I can drop into his world. He was actually trying to get needs met, okay? So I'll get back to that soon, I'll come back to that. But, so this is the story I'm in, which is triggering me and making me feel angry and upset and disappointed, that kind of stuff. And to get out of that, we need to recognize that it's a story. So I would say, put the phrase in front of it. I am telling myself, or I'm in my story that. So I'm telling myself that he cheated on me. I'm telling myself that he lied to me. I'm telling myself that he betrayed me. I'm telling myself he's a hypocrite. And I'm telling myself he's a liar. So it'd be, all of that would be present for me, but putting that phrase, I'm telling myself, actually helps you to see it from a bigger picture, from a bigger perspective, rather than making it really present and about self. You're actually seeing it from kind of from out. So, because it's a story, you're telling yourself that, okay? So this is really just about helping you get out of the reptilian brain so that you can really feel your emotions and get connected to your needs. So then I drop into what am I feeling? I'm feeling upset, sad, disappointed, angry, annoyed, frustrated. And then I do the emotional release tools. I allow myself to feel that. Because I'm asking myself, what do I need? What do I need? What do I need is I need to get these feelings out. I need to express them. And I need to do it in a healthy way, not unhealthy, which is usually we're projecting on the other person because we're wanting to be, our needs are probably wanting to be heard. So my needs at that time were to express my emotions. I needed to be heard as well. So I rang a couple of friends and I vented to them and I was like, guess what I found out? Just found out this whole time my ex was doing this and blah, blah, blah. So, and I would call them and go, hey, I just need a vent. Because I don't want it to be about getting validation, because this is also what happens, is that you want to get validated sometimes. You want people to go, yeah, what an asshole, what a wanker, blah, 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 that kind of thing, which only actually perpetuates the story and it kind of solidifies it more. We don't actually want to believe people are assholes and bastards and bitches and all that kind of stuff, because that's really disempowering and it's only going to attract more assholes and bastards, right? What we want to do is we want to actually identify what the stories and beliefs are and look at how we can shift them. We do not want to keep validating the story, because if we validate the story, it's going to keep happening, and I do not want that, right? So I'm totally aware of this. So that's why I say, I just want to vent. I just call a friend and say, look, I'm just going to vent to you right now because I just need to get it out. This is just part of my emotional release process. Okay. And then, I ask them, because sometimes people want to go into fixing. Now, we can ask, I'm not ready, because sometimes we're totally not ready to be going into advice or fixing, especially when we're triggered. I'll be like, but when I'm ready, I would love to hear some advice. Okay. So, or I just say to them, I know what I've got to do, because, I know this process and I know exactly what I've got to do. I said, this is just part of my venting process. So, yeah, so I went and I went and met my needs. And what the other need was, okay, so once I'd vented, once I'd released my emotions, I lay on my bed and I went into self-empathy and self-love and self-compassion. And I dropped inside myself and I put my hand over my heart and my stomach. And I spoke to myself and I talked to my little girl, because it was my little girl inside of me, my little 5 or 6 year old that was hurting, that was upset, that was feeling cheated on, that was feeling lied to. Because what happens to us as adults is always a rewounding of something that has happened to us as a child. And it has been triggered again as an opportunity for you to heal it. Now, you can choose to heal it or you can choose to numb it, like I said before. But if you choose to heal it, then you're going to stop it from happening again. And, you don't want to keep this shit happening. You don't. You want to use the opportunity. And so this is why I'm getting to this point of gratitude now, because I'm like I was totally meant to see that. I was totally meant to go and see those clients and know that had happened, because I had to clear the stuff around cheating so that it doesn't happen again. So that I can be here sharing with you guys about this. And I'm like super grateful to him for doing it, right? I'm getting to this point of like going, okay, I'm really glad now, because now I have this freaking awesome story, which I think is pretty funny. Actually, I really, last night after I did this healing, I was like, this is actually pretty funny. So it's a great story. It will be in my book as well. And there's actually a lot more to it, which I'm not quite ready to share yet. But it's actually, there's a lot of different twists to it. It's quite funny. But so then, excuse me. Then what I need to do is I do an empowered journaling practice. And what this is about, it is about identifying your part in it, okay? Because we can stay and blame and anger, and that makes us a victim. And we don't want to be a victim. We want to be empowered, okay? So what I wrote about was first of all, okay, I want you guys to write this down, okay? I want you to write all these questions down, because you can use this for anyone and anything that is freaking annoying you or pissing you off, or that maybe it's something that's happened in the past and you feel disempowered by, or something that keeps happening to you over and over. And if you do this journaling practice, you'll actually start to see how you can turn it around and be empowered in it. So just, maybe even pick someone that you're thinking of. You're thinking of someone who, a situation where you feel disempowered, where somebody's hurt you, and, you might consistently complain about this. So the first thing is, what are your biggest complaints or resentments about the person or about the situation? Okay? So for me, mine was that, my biggest complaint was that he lied to me, but then about the thing that he lied to me, but then was accusing me of the same thing that he was doing, and abusing me for it, and yeah, just, that was what annoyed me. It was like, okay, that he talked so much about being honest and being loyal, and how much he hated cheating when he was actually doing the same thing. And so it was kind of like, that was sort of my biggest complaint about that. And then you want to look at, well, how did you, okay, so this is the second question. How did you give your power away? Okay, so here's some examples. So what I found was that I really overgave, okay? And I really went into healer mode, because he wasn't typical victim. And when he came, he was like, oh, women always cheat on me, and my exes cheated on me, and that's why we broke up. Like, I honestly don't even know if that's true, really. Like, he could have been the one. Who knows? I don't know. But he doesn't really see it that way, right? So, I was in this healer mode of, oh, you poor thing. Like, oh, I feel so sorry for you. That's horrible. I can show you that, not all women are like that, and blah, blah, blah. And then, I felt sorry for him. How else? Well, I stayed with him when he'd abused me, because he'd always come running back, and I'd feel sorry for him. I kept allowing him to accuse me of stuff. I was consistently defending myself, and when he'd accuse me, I kept, allowing it to happen. I didn't leave, he was manipulating me, telling me and then he was trying to tell me what I could and couldn't do at work. Like, I'm okay with this, but I'm not okay with this. And he'd end up getting really upset about certain things. And so I had to, chop and change things based on his emotions at that time. And then he'd be like, no, I'm okay with this now. I'm not okay with this now. And I'm like, oh, dude, like, make up your mind, right? So, yeah, but at the same time, I didn't even know what my boundaries really were. Like, in relationship, I had this belief system that, once you're with someone, you share everything with them, right? That you're fully open, you share everything. But then, I didn't establish that I could have boundaries around, what, it's not okay that you accuse me. It's not okay that you tell me what I can do and can't do at work. It's not okay that you're going through my stuff. That's boundaries, right? And it's okay to have, it's really good to have healthy boundaries. Okay, I'm actually going to do another training on this. There's actually training in a module in my I Am Love program on boundaries, which is like, boundaries is huge. It's the biggest lesson for me in this relationship. So the other things, what else? How else did I give my power away? So I hadn't set up proper boundaries. We didn't have solid agreements. We kept chopping and changing them based on, what he could and couldn't handle, and we didn't have proper communication. I didn't pay attention to the red flags, right? So when I look back, I could see that. Well, actually, I read a quote today that said, cheating is not just when someone goes and bees with someone else, or it is also when they hide stuff from you, when they delete text messages, things like that. So right at the start, about a month into our relationship, I caught him texting his ex-girlfriend, and it was angry messages, and I was like, dude, you need to cut that relationship off if you want to be in this one. And he kept texting her, and I was like, could you show me the messages? And he's like, no, and he deleted them. He's like, I don't want you to see me like that. So, like, that's red flag, right? Huge. The fact that someone's messaging their ex, even if it's nasty, if it's nasty messages, then you know, that's massive red flag, because if they're not willing to show you them, then, you know, that's not okay. That's hiding, and that's cheating, basically. It's hiding, it's lying, and, you know, if you don't want me to see all of you, then we shouldn't be in this relationship, right? But no, I gave him the benefit of the doubt, because he'd made out that she was a psycho and a liar and whatnot. So I went into healer, fixer, saver, rescuer mode. And I was like, oh, we can cut cords and I can help you through it and da-da-da. And she's just needy and attached to you and all this kind of stuff. But this is a bit of the narcissistic kind of traits that happen, as they make our exes to be a certain way. And then a narcissist will generally tend to really be attracted to, polarized to an empath. And, you know, a victim and a rescuer are very much polarized and magnetically attracted. So what you want to do is you really want to look at how you have actually gave your power away. Like, maybe you just chose not to see it. Maybe you just chose to be blind to what was really going on. And maybe you ignored your intuition that told you that this person wasn't right. Because that's what I did from the start. I was like, something's not sitting right here with me, but yeah, we'll just see how it goes. And yeah, it didn't go very well, obviously, but I ignored it because I was seeking love, and I was seeking affection and intimacy, and I was really wanting that connection with someone, and I ignored my intuition because of that, and I ignored the red flags. So I gave my power away, and I let him you know, control, and I didn't set up boundaries. So all that stuff can really play out, and it's something that you really need to look at, is like, how did you give that power away? Also, self-abandoning was a big one as well. That's a big one for a lot of people, because we're very much conditioned that when you're with someone, you become one because they complete you and blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, no, actually, you're a complete person as you are. You don't need someone else to complete you, and you need to still be your own person in relationship. You really need to still have your own interests. You don't have to share every single freaking thing. Don't be hiding stuff. Feel like you can be open with the person, but you don't have to be you know, doing everything together and sharing everything. It's nice to have still have your own stuff. So a lot of people get caught up. This also linked to happy chemicals. When you get together with someone, the oxytocin, the serotonin, and the dopamine are all going crazy at all-time high, and you want to spend all your time with that person, and you start to put your own stuff aside. So I did that. I started putting work aside. I started not following my career. I started focusing on the relationship and trying to make it work, because, man, it was a mess, right? So yeah, so self-abandoning is also a big one. Another way that you give your power away. So all these things can massively play out, and they actually enable the other person's behavior. So although you're not responsible for how other person treats you, you're not responsible for them lying, for their cheating, for their abuse, you're not responsible for their actions, but you can actually be giving your power away and enabling their behavior. And this is what you want to be responsible for, okay? So you're not making the other person, not saying what they did is okay, but you are taking responsibility for your part in it, okay? So hoping that's making sense. And if you're resonating to it, again, please give me some likes and some hearts so I know that you're really picking up what I'm saying. So this comes to the, okay, oh, hi guys. Hi Amanda, hi Evan, hi Lily. Glad to see you're here. Awesome. So now I want to talk about the rewounding stuff. So this is still on the journaling practice, okay? So there's quite a few questions here. What you want to ask yourself is, does this remind you of the way that you've been treated before when you were younger, or maybe it's another relationship that's happened previously, or any feelings, experience in relationships you've had before? So what I identified when I asked myself, okay, when I found out that obviously he'd lied to me about being with someone else, I was like, okay, what does this remind me of? And I was like, yeah, it reminds me of my ex-husband. So what had happened, and this is the kind of the last experience I've had of being lied to about being cheated on. When I was young, I was married at 17, and it was not a very healthy relationship. It became quite abusive, and one of the things that happened is that he cheated on me quite a bit, but I never really knew about it. Like, I think it's like I was really blind to it. I didn't want to see it. Like, my intuition was like, there's something going on here. And I'd have dreams. I'd have dreams that he cheated on me, but I just kind of didn't listen to them. And I wasn't connected to my psychic senses like I am. Well, I was, but I wasn't aware of it, right? And, yeah, and even his best friend was actually telling me things and saying things that about him being with other women, and I just kind of refused to believe it. So it reminded me of that, definitely. And we'd been split up, and he'd also been with another woman. So, yeah, and the thing is also, okay, this is the other thing that I had to take responsibility for, was that I had also ended up cheating on my ex, not the recent one, the one back when I was like 17, 18. And what had happened is we'd really drifted apart, and so he'd been cheating on me, so I was kind of like, well, you know what, does it really matter if I'm just gonna, we kind of had split up, but hadn't officially talked about it, so I just started dating other people. I was like, whatever. And I realized that it was because, like, he had ignored me and rejected me, and like he'd just go for days without talking to me, and it was, yeah, it was a pretty messy relationship, and a lot of the time I felt really unwanted. I felt really used because I was being overgiving and supporting him financially, and I just felt like, I was missing that. I was using other men to numb the feeling of being unwanted and rejected. So I was obviously dating to feel that someone wanted me, and I was also feeling that I wanted that, I wanted someone to see me, and I wanted to be seen and heard and acknowledged, because my ex-husband just wasn't even there and around. So what I really could drop into is that I had to really own that. I had to own that part of me that had done that, and I had to drop into some empathy and compassion for that. And I also had to recognize that when my ex was with the more recent one, went and slept with the other woman, that he was getting his needs met, and he had children to provide for, so obviously monetary reasons, but also that I had been breaking up with him heaps of times because of the abuse, and I kept taking him back because I had some wounds around other women. I had wounds around being cheated on. Funny that, right? And that, because he'd always, whenever I'd break up with him and kick him out or whatever, he'd go to another woman, and that would be like, oh, can't handle it. So I'd take him back. And then, but I gave him no security in the relationship, and I also, I checked out. Like, I wasn't there. Like, emotionally, I was so closed. My heart was shut down. I stopped caring, I mean, effectively, I wasn't giving him attention. I wasn't giving him love. I was only taking him back because I didn't want him to be with someone else, because it was so painful for me, and it was triggering all the stuff from the ex-husband. Like, it was like complete, almost like so crazy that it was so much like it. Oh, thanks, Lily. I appreciate that. And it was a complete rewounding, like massive rewounding, and I could really recognize that. And sometimes it might not be a relationship; it can be a childhood experience. So you might not be exactly the same, but it will be similar feelings, similar experiences, and it can be something little. It doesn't have to be something massive, because yeah, it just can be to do with the feelings or the beliefs that are sitting there about being lied to, about being cheated on, about trust, whatever it may be, unwanted, unloved, rejected, alone, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, so the rewounding, you want to really look at, okay, when has it happened before? Okay, so it was so interesting. And then you want to look at also how has the relationship impacted you. I'd already done a lot of work on this previously, so you might be able to see the ways that you acted, that you went and numbed, or you went and create beliefs that have played out in your life, or stories that have kept replaying. Now, this question is really cool. So how does this reflect how you have or currently treat yourself? So all our relationships are a reflection of our relationship with ourselves. Okay, So when you're in a relationship with someone, you've got to look at how they're treating you, and you've got to identify where are you in that? Like, where are you treating yourself that way? So for example, where was I lying to myself? I was lying to myself by choosing not to see what was really going on. I was lying to myself because I was trying to make a relationship work where I wasn't even in it anymore. Like, I was like totally checked out, trying to make a relationship work that was never going to work. I wasn't there. I was telling myself, yeah, I'll open my heart to him. How is I ever going to feel safe to open to my heart to someone that abuses me? Never. It's never going to happen. I was so shut down. So I was completely, like, the whole relationship was, I was just like living a lie when I knew that I should have left that relationship months before it ended. And I had checked out months before. Effectively, I had really checked out when I look back at it. I had really checked out when I found the messages a month into it to his ex. So, because that had triggered stuff for me, because one of the things that I used to do was to check out at the first sign of conflict. Like, my heart would just close down as soon as I saw something like that there might be a chance that I'll get abandoned or rejected. It was like, well, I'm just going to check out now. And then you stop being vulnerable, you stop being connected, and then you don't open up. And then you start hiding, and you start lying, and you're cheating yourself, basically. So I was justifying his behavior, and when you justify something, and I love this, whenever you have to justify something, you know that there's a lie in the space. So get connected to, okay, I'm justifying this, I'm lying to myself about something. There's something that you're not looking at. So I was absolutely cheating myself out of a healthy relationship. Like, there was a time when I was like, maybe this is just how relationships are for me. How do people have healthy relationships? I don't understand. Like I literally thought that when I was in it, that I was never going to be able to have that. Like, how's it going to be possible? That's how closed I was, how weak I was by that stage. Excuse me. And so, so I was lying and cheating myself, basically, like, to myself. And then I was also starting to hide stuff from him because I was trying to, I was trying to get out of the relationship, basically. And I was trying to contact people and ask for help and get out because he was threatening me with things if I left, this and that. So I was trying to I was secretly planning how I was going to leave all the time. Like, there was this massive part of me that was like, okay, I'm going to make this work, and I'm going to make it work, and I'm going to show people how you can turn an abusive relationship around. Like, literally, this is what I was thinking, because I'm a healer and I can make this work. And yet I was completely, like, just so not in my power. And then there was this part of me that was like going, man, I've got to get out of this. How the fuck do I get out of it safely with my shit intact? Because he kept breaking all my shit, basically. And it was like, this week I'll end it. This week I'll leave. And then I'd kick him out. And then he'd go to this other woman. And then I'd be like, no, maybe we can make it work. And then it would start this vicious cycle, right? And eventually, I'm getting a bit warm in here. Eventually, how I did end up leaving is I did plan, and I got it. I booked a flight to Melbourne, and I packed up all my shit, and it was hard. It wasn't easy, but and then I healed. Like, after that, I went and I looked at the wounds that were sitting there that were, I'm unwanted and I'm alone, and I ended up working on healing those. And when I say that, I was sitting in the car, ready to leave, on the phone to my friend who's a healer, Tash. I love you, by the way. She's my best friend. I rang her and I'm like, I really want to go back inside, and I know I can't, and I've got to go because I've booked this flight. And she was like, okay, what's coming up for you? And we got down to it that it was I'm unwanted. There was wound that kept being triggered, that kept me going back. So, and we did a process where I shifted it in that moment, and I just bawled my eyes out, and I got in that car and I left, and I never went back, and that was it. So this is the stuff that we're doing here, is we're healing these wounds. And so what else? Okay. Okay, so the other question is, what specific ways did you show up that may have set them up to play out your old story and what can you take responsibility for. So I've actually already talked about this, but it was just more about, not being present with him, not listening to him and his needs, because I was so disconnected from what I wanted and needed. Like, I didn't even know what I wanted and needed anymore. I was like, do I even have a right to want for myself? Like, I'm just here to please him. All this kind of stuff was playing out. I realized that I never really truly loved him, and I was trying to force feelings that weren't there because I didn't want to be alone. Like, I was really just this wound of not wanting to be alone was sitting there. I was taking him back when I knew I didn't want to be with him. I was breaking up with him constantly. I just kind of stopped caring. I can see also why he went. I can actually see why he went and connected with other women, because we were no longer connecting. I wasn't being vulnerable because I was freaking scared that if I opened up to him, I'd end up being abused, because anytime I shared something, he'd twist it around to make it about him. And so I just stopped talking. I felt like I just had nothing to say to him anymore, because every time I said something, it got twisted around and used against me. So of course he's going to go and connect with someone else who doesn't know what he's really like, and because underneath this, he's trying to get his needs met as well, because I'm not giving him presence, I'm not giving him connection. So he's trying to find that elsewhere. So I had to really look at that as well. I was like, okay, well, I wasn't even there for him. So he's off with trying to find that in someone else. And because he wasn't feeling loved and he wasn't feeling wanted, and we were completely mirroring each other. He didn't want to be alone. He was feeling unwanted. He was feeling rejected. And I was feeling the same way. And so we were dealing with it in these unconscious ways. And then obviously every time I broke up with him, he would feel rejected and he would feel unwanted, and of course go to this other woman to try and feel better about himself. It's like amazing to see it, be able to, instead of being in this whole, he did this to me and he lied to me and he cheated, blah blah blah. It's okay, I can actually see why that happened and my part in it, basically. And I've been there before. I've been on the other side, so I get it as well. So I can see that. And it was funny because when I thought about it, I could actually see that it's almost like, oh, well, when I do it, it's not really that big a deal, right? But if they do it, it's like massive deal. So I guess I can see that as well. Like that. I mean, that's how I felt when I was younger, when I was like 17, 18. I was like, oh, well, I'm just, it doesn't really matter. Like, I'm just doing this because you're not around and that kind of thing. But when they did, it was like, oh, no, that's horrible. Like, how can you do that kind of thing? So it was really interesting to really own that. And so the last question, and this is a massive one, and this is the stuff we want to shift, is what have you made this mean about you, about relationships, about others, and the world? So what beliefs and stories have you created? So things like he cheats on me, he lies to me, he or she, he hides things from me, men can't be trusted, I can't trust men, people can't be trusted, I can't trust myself. Especially I can't trust myself to pick the right person. Things like that. So this really is what is at the heart of it. Like, this is why stuff keeps being played over, is because you have these stories and beliefs that you have made real and true, which are not. They're actually not real. It's because something happened to you when you were younger and you decided that this is what's real, and then you went and lived your life based on that. Yes. Yeah. So what we want to start doing is looking at these beliefs. But before we do that, I want to share with you something really cool. It's called aspecting. It's an amazing healing process, okay? And this is, I did this yesterday, and oh man, it was so powerful. It was just like, wow. So what it is, it basically is where you call in the soul of the other person. You set a pillow in front of you, recommend to be on a bed. You set the pillow and you call them in. And you call in the higher self. You're calling in their soul. You're calling in their higher self. And you visualize them on the pillow. And you have a conversation with them, basically. Now, excuse me. Excuse me. Obviously more energy to get out there. So you call them in and you say whatever the fuck you want to say, basically. You want to vent the shit out. And so I just went off like, you motherfucking liar. Like, you know, I wanted to say everything that I'd want to say to him. And I would punch the pillow and I, you know, scream into the pillow, and I just, you know, really venting that out and as though it's towards whatever's coming out, and this is where you're getting the emotions out. This is amazing, powerful healing that you need to do. You need to get that shit out, okay? All right? And so then when I felt sort of a little bit complete, I had everything out that I wanted to say in that moment, I'd go sit on the pillow, and then I'd breathe in, and then I'd take on his energy and become him, basically. And I'd talk back to myself, okay? And this is where it gets really cool. And there's no thinking about it. It's just whatever comes out. And it's amazing because you really are able to be in their position. And what came out was this whole he basically said, you know, because I was like, what I said was like, you're always fucking playing the victim, and you were blaming me for stuff that you were actually doing yourself, and I wasn't doing it, and da-da-da. And he just was, you know, he actually apologized. He got a little bit upset too, and he owned it. He's like, yep, I did that. And remembering this is his higher self, right? This is his soul, his higher self. And he was like, well, you know what, EJ, I don't know anything else. Like, I've grown up with a narcissistic father. I actually don't know anything else. This is all I've ever known. This is all I've ever grown up with. I don't know how to be any other way. Like, I've always been the victim. It's just what I've seen and what I've heard. I don't know how to be empowered. I don't, you know, and there was just like this wounded little boy. He was just talking from the space of being wounded and not knowing any other way of being, and that's why he's projecting it out. And then just this feeling, I just felt this feeling of absolute self-hatred. Like, oh, it was like, whoa, like this shame, self-hatred. And it was like, wow, I could really just feel his pain, you know. And of course I don't have to take that on, right? So, and this is why this practice is good, because you never have to take it on. And yeah, he just really dropped into that for him. And then after I got complete with that, I went back to me, and then I'd have a conversation back. Then I kind of took ownership of what I'd done, and I took self-responsibility, and I could see that, you know, how some things I did would have upset him, and how I wasn't there for him, and all this kind of thing. And times that I'd lied to him and that kind of thing, and done things that would have, you know, triggered him and stuff like that. So, and I own the fact that I hadn't had the capacity to give him the love that he was seeking, and then I came back to him one more time, and then it was a bit of a blur now, like I can't even remember, and you don't need to remember. And then I came back to me. And then I ended up crying, and then I took the pillow, and I held the pillow, and I hugged the pillow, and I just lay there with the pillow. And I was just like, you know, I'm sorry that I couldn't love you properly, but I love you. My soul loves you. As a human, I didn't have the capacity to love you as a human, but my soul loves you, and I'm so grateful that you've come into my life to be one of my greatest teachers. And it was like, wow, I just cried, because in that moment we're connecting soul to soul. There's none of this human bullshit stories and beliefs and all that going on. It was just this soul to soul healing, and it was freaking powerful. That is that's actually in the program that I put the link on. So it's called Aspecting. I learned it through the International School of Temple Arts, and it's just one of the most powerful practices I've done. And you incorporate the emotional release tools into it, and you can add your own flavor to it, add your own things into it, whatever feels good. But it's really amazing practice, because then I got to this space of absolute gratitude and love, and was like, oh wow, like I can just see that you know, we're just all wounded little girls and little boys trying to get our needs met. At the end of the day, we consistently, every day, people are just trying to get their needs met, and they're acting from these unconscious places and unhealthy places. And you know, what Marshall Rosenberg says, the author of Nonviolent Communication, he says that every tragedy in the world is just a tragic attempt to get precious needs met. And when you can see things like that, you can really drop into empathy, you can drop into forgiveness. And that doesn't mean that you have to accept what the person does, because you establish boundaries, and it means that you might not accept it, and you might go, no, this is a boundary for me, and this means I'm going to disconnect from you, and I'm not going to put up with this. And that's good. You want to honor your boundaries. But it's also giving you, it's empowering you. It's empowering you to go, well, this is what I will and won't accept. But I can also see that you're functioning from the space, and I'm not going to hold this anger and blame towards you, because I'm going to step into empowerment, into self-responsibility. Okay, because anger and blame only disempowers us. Which connects me to the beliefs, okay, which leads me to the beliefs, which is all about the, you know, not like the lies, believing that you can't trust people, believing that people lie to you, believing that people cheat on you. If you have these beliefs, guess what? It's going to keep happening, okay? You're going to keep living from that. Now, it's the thing about beliefs, right? You know, we all know that your beliefs, well, most people know that your beliefs create your reality. And, well, it's true, yes, mostly subconscious beliefs that we're not even aware of that we have, but there's many that we are aware of that we have. And people are like, oh, you know, we'll just do these affirmations and then everything will be okay. I'm like, sorry, but you can say as many affirmations as you like. It's not going to change it until your behavior changes, okay? This is the key that people don't get. And you can do a lot of mindset work around this. And when you do the mindset work, which is a lot of journaling, you discover the actions you need to take. It's like, if I believed that I could trust people, if I believed that men honor me and respect me, how would I act? Okay? So you would probably act quite differently, right? You would trust your intuition. You would listen to your red flags, okay? Well, you would see your red flags. You wouldn't self-abandon. You would honor yourself. You would respect it. This is back to the whole reflection thing again. When you need to look at, well, how am I treating myself, okay? Am I trusting myself? Where am I lying to myself, okay? Because you're just being reflected, right? It's just being reflected. So you need to look at, okay, what are my beliefs? Okay, so things like he cheats on me. I've written these down, that ones that came through. He lies to me. He is a liar. Men are liars. He hides things from me. Men can't be trusted. I can't trust men. People can't be trusted. He doesn't honor me. He doesn't respect me. She's better than me. He doesn't love me. He never loved me. He doesn't want me. I'm not wanted. I'm alone, blah, blah. You get the picture, right? There's a whole lot of beliefs in the program. And so that's all about others. And then self might be like, I can't trust myself. I cheat myself. I lie to myself. I get cheated on. And then you've got life. So life is painful. Relationships hurt. Things like that. So you want to start looking at what are your beliefs that you have around self, around others, and around life. Okay, the 3 different types there that you want to look at. And then you want to look at how you've been showing up. So how have you actually been showing up to prove that these beliefs are true? Okay, so for example, you might not be open to receiving love. You might not be communicating your wants and needs. You might not be setting boundaries. Like, geez, I didn't even know what boundaries were. You might not be self-caring, self-loving. You might be overgiving. You might be playing the rescuer. You might be ignoring things. You might be putting up with abuse. You might be taking people back when they don't treat you right. Whatever it is, you got to look at, how do you keep proving, like, you know, someone lies to you consistently and you're letting them, you keep them in, you know, you're not setting up boundaries, then that's just going to keep proving that that's true, right? And you're going to keep attracting people that lie to you, okay? You're going to keep attracting people that cheat on you. So you really want to get clear on what you will and won't accept, okay? You're going to want to get clear on your boundaries. You want to learn what your boundaries are, okay? I mean, this is all the stuff that I have another program called My I Am Love Intensive, which takes you through all of this. But you want to start learning how to communicate properly, how to get clear on what your needs and wants are. And then you want to start showing up in a way that where you are not cheating yourself, where you are not lying to yourself. Like, you have to think about it. Well, where, if people are lying to you, where are you lying? Where are you cheating yourself? Where are you not honoring yourself? Where are you not loving yourself? All this kind of stuff. You're always a reflection. When you honor yourself, when you show up for yourself, when you don't lie to yourself or you don't lie to other people, we all lie in some way or another, whether we know it or not. Sometimes we don't even know we're doing it. And it's really interesting to look at that. But it's just about catching yourself. You're like, hang on a minute, is this honoring to me? Is this really what I want? This is what I mean by you might not know that you're doing it, is that you might say to yourself, oh, I'm going to do this because this is what I want, but really it's about what someone else wants. Okay, so that's like lying to yourself. That's what I mean by that. So you got to look at, if you want someone to honor, I'm going to reiterate this, if you want someone to honor you, if you want someone to respect you, if you want someone to love you, if you want someone to be honest with you, you have to do that for you, okay? Your relationship with yourself is number one, okay? Start putting yourself first, and guess what? People will show up that can be all of that for you, okay? So that's what you need to start looking at, okay? So I think we're at the end almost. So I do have a lot of other practices, like there's a beautiful practice I do called a truth talk inner child practice, where you go down into the child, the source wound basically, and basically you are able to heal it at the source, okay? And because that's what you want to do. You can heal it, what's just happened, and work on that, but you want to go back to the first time it happened so it doesn't happen again. So I do a really great practice in that. And as I said, all of this is in the program, but I'm putting it all into a book, which is going to be super simple for you guys. I'll put up, where's the thing? Okay, let me see. Okay, I'm going to put up the link to the book that you can, it's not finished yet, but, well, it's almost done. I've just got to put it together. Okay, I think that's it. Okay, cool. So, if you have any questions for me, if you want to know more, you can join the program and the link to the book. I've got a Facebook group called Heal Your Love Wounds, which you can jump in. I also have a 7-week program called the I Am Love Intensive, which basically helps you to show up in all those ways that you've been, that I was talking about. So really getting a lot of closure and completion of the past, and really learning about how to set up your boundaries and how to communicate, have proper communication skills in your relationships, and really how to love and honor yourself. And at the end of the day, the foundation of everything is self-love. Like, I can't speak highly, like, it's so simple, right? But we don't do it. We don't, because we're conditioned not to. We're conditioned to put ourselves last because it's selfish, right? Which is bullshit, right? It's just all bullshit conditioning that keeps us small. So what I want to leave you with is just to focus on loving yourself, even the shadow stuff, right? Because, you know, I don't want to make people bad and wrong for, you know, having hurt us necessarily, but we want to just love the parts of ourselves that may be not honoring to ourselves, and just keep focusing on that, like loving all parts of us, even if we've done things that may be bad and wrong, just love it anyway. So that's it for me for now. So I am also about to jump in the Heal Your Love Wounds group and do some Q&A. So I'm going to jump off this live stream and into the Heal Your Love Wounds group, so feel free to join. And I'm going to pull some cards and do some readings and things like that. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed it. And if you've got any other things you want me to teach about, please let me know, because I love talking, as you can see, but I love sharing and I love helping, and I'm here to support you guys. So thank you for being here, and have an amazing evening. Bye.